Alright everybody, here we're going to take a closer look at the sample pads and give you an idea of how they function and how to use some of their functions. Again, each pad has different sounds. You push to play, push to turn off. There really isn't a delay in between when you push the pad and when the sound comes on. It's almost instant. So you see you can really get a good timing of this. Now, you got 4 banks here. Let's get these two on. Now, with these pads, the keyboard does have stereo in, so you can actually route the outs of, let's say, UAD Apollo into the keyboard. You can sample through your UAD interface or any other kind of interface you're using, and sample off of your computer, sample out of your DAW, anything that you can route through the outs of your audio interface into and copy them onto these pads, and you pretty much can have a sampler inside the keyboard. You could even sample coming out of, let's say, off of YouTube and run it through your UAD console and send it right to this keyboard, and you can cut and sample and chop everything, or have everything already pre-chopped but then put it onto the computer, onto your keyboard. Everything's linked up, but you got to have the right timing with the pads, because they'll come in and trigger and they'll stay right on that time that you set it. See where they have bank 3. I'm doing this for a reason. If you get, let's say, a MIDI panic, or just a panic with all the pads are sounding, chaos is happening, you don't know what to do, you can hit the hold button 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and everything shuts off. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, everything is canceled. So it's good that they have sort of a sample panic button here. And similar to the panic button that's below the exit button on the main part of the console. Okay, let's go to bank 2. See if that groove lines up. Different tempos. Let's go back to what else I have at bank 3. Special effects looks like. Okay. Let's get to a couple different tricks here. First things first, if you want to move a sample, let's say you have all these banks cleared or you have a user bank up and you just want to move a sample from, let's say, bank 1 to bank 2 to bank 3, wherever you want to do it. First, you push the pad, then push clipboard, and it's copied, and then you push clipboard, and then the pad where you want to move the sound to. So let's do a try of this. Clipboard, boom. You'll see a notification on your screen, which I'll show you right now. Okay, I'm going to do that same thing again. I'm going to push a pad and push clipboard, and you're going to see the screen change and let you know it's copying. Boom. And the same thing happens when you reverse the process and then move the pad. And I'll show you how to reverse the process. Alright, here's how we move a sound. Clipboard. So it's saying, hey, we've copied to the clipboard. This is going to be completely empty, pad number 13. But we're going to move it to a different pad. You push your clipboard, and let's say we wanted 12. Now, the reason why it hasn't happened yet is because the screen is letting you know, the keyboard is letting you know that there's already a sound on that pad. You're going to overwrite the sound on that pad. For the purposes, we're going to overwrite, and I'm going to hit OK. Now the sound that was on this pad here, 13, is now on pad 12. Pad 12 sound is overwritten, it's no longer there. So if you have a user bank and pad set up for your own samples and loaded up, and you have empty or free pads, you can move samples around like that, so you can trigger them wherever you want to in whichever bank you choose. Now let's get the sound back to pad 13. Again, we just moved. So now pad 12 is empty because again we overwrote the track that was already there, or the sound that was already there. Now let's show you how to actually copy a sample. Alright, to copy a sample, we're going to pan out here. We're going to use the shift button and also the clipboard. So basically, when you copy a sample, you're going to go from, let's say, sample 1, and I copy it and I can move it to sample 2. Now sample 1 or pad 1 and pad 2 are going to have the same sample. It's not like previously where you move a sample and the where the sample was before is no longer there. It's completely gone because you've moved it to a different location. So let's put shift, clipboard, you push the sound, do shift, and clipboard. Now clipboard 2. Sample already exists here. Let's overwrite it just for the sake of practicing. Now we have the same sample on 1 and 2. Let's do it a couple more times just to get that repetition in. 1, shift, clipboard, clipboard 3, overwrite, yes. Same thing. So we actually just copied what was in sample 1 and overwrote the sample 2, overwrote sample 3. Since these are stock samples, you can always just initialize, and when you turn the keyboard off and turn it back on, those samples are always going to be there. We're not going to save all these unless you bring in a user template and then save it. But for just practice purposes, we're just overriding and practicing moving and shifting samples around. Okay, we're going to take a look now at the sample section of the keyboard. You push the sampling button that's right below the sample pads, right here. Now it's going to say that there's a sample that already exists because once again these are the already preset preloaded samples on the keyboard. So it's going to let me know that I'm attempting to write over what's already there. So these buttons here, 6, not only can they turn, you can actually push in, and pushing in is a form of selecting. So we're going to say yes for this purpose. And then this is a sample screen that shows up. It shows you banks 1, 2, 3, 4, and the pads. We're going to be writing over pad 1. I'm not sure if you can really see that. It kind of highlights around whichever pad. Now you have a choice, sampling mode. If you're going to sample the keyboard, meaning the sound coming from the keyboard and the inputs that are running into the back of the keyboard, or are you just going to sample the sounds from the keyboard or the inputs / USB? Let's do keyboard. Take this dial, turn it up, hit OK. Now format, you want to do stereo, you want to do mono. This is simple touch. Let's do stereo for now. Now auto trigger basically means it's waiting for a sound to come in, whether the sound's from the keyboard or it's coming from the UAD interface, whether the sound is from the keyboard or your Pro Tools or UAD interface. Once the sound comes in, it's going to start sampling, and you can hear it right here. It's going to start recording. Now the auto trigger level, all that means is how sensitive do you want the sampling recording to be, in the sense where it kicks in and starts recording, how sensitive. So let's say you're recording from a record player or a record that someone uploaded online. Do you want all that static and clicking and popping that comes in initially before the music gets playing, or do you just want when the music comes in? So this is the purpose of the auto trigger level. It'll start recording at a certain threshold when the music starts playing, or there's a certain loud section you want to play. It passes that threshold and then boom, the recording kicks in. So let's turn auto trigger off. You can have the selection for a click here. You can hear the click track, and you can set the tempo here with this dial of how fast you want the click to be. You can manually hit start to overwrite, or let's turn the click off. With the auto trigger, it's waiting for a signal. So let's do auto trigger and let's play some nice little chords here. Alright, I got a piano sound and a pad loaded up. I'm going to play a note, and you're going to see the levels left and right there. It's going to show you it's in stereo, it's going to show you what's being played, but we're still in standby mode and we haven't started recording yet. So let's turn on auto trigger mode so that when we play a note, it'll start recording. It's just told you it's waiting for the input signal right there. So let me play some notes, a couple chords. Stop playing. Hit stop. Boom. Got 18 seconds. So you go to the wave edit screen. It lets you see where the notes are. And you can move the screen to the left and to the right. Gives you the option of looping, sample utilities. You can truncate. You can export as wave. You can rename. Let's cancel here. Shows you the zoom, horizontal, zoom vertical. So just like most sample machines, you can actually see what we just recorded there. So this is it. In preview, back out. Now this shows you banks 1, 2, 3, 4, and it shows you all 16 pads. We just recorded onto pad 1, and this right here, it says new sample because I have not renamed it. I have not gone in and renamed it, done any of that stuff. But here is all the selections you have. You can also import, wave edit, quick edit, a lot of good options. It shows you all the sample sounds that you have loaded up currently. So right here, wave edit, push that button down that's right beneath the window, button number 1 that's lit up. Takes you to the new sample. It's called new sample for a reason, because I haven't renamed it. So let's go and try and rename it right now. Sample utility, rename, select. You can hit enter. So you see here a little keyboard pops up. Listen. You can use the cursors as normal. You can backspace so you get the idea. Let's do test. Test 1. Hit OK. Okay, so the sample name has been changed to test 1. Now we can go to quick edit, and you can quickly turn the gate, special effects off, on, loop, off, on, other special effects. So there's a couple things you can do from this screen really quickly. You can turn that back off and go back to wave edit. So you see it's pretty much the same function as, not the same, but similar as quick edit. Hit the import button and you get the USB memory, and you can actually go into the USB, which I already have in the back plugged in, and you can pull in whatever samples you want from whatever source and load them up onto your own and make your own sample pads and your own banks. We have auto import, we have import, internal storage. Okay, so looks like the keyboard comes with a few samples already for you to line up. Construction kits, loops already, single shots. Let's see what it's got here. Execute. So basically what you can do is you can put whatever samples you want onto a flash drive, load them up in the keyboard, load them up into the pad, tweak them, mix them around, make them into any sort of instrument you want. You can also go in and get instruments that are laid out note by note and come in here and layer a nice little instrument for yourself.